Okay, yes. So, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Mind Your Own Black Business, brought to you by CirQulate. My name is Ade Shikoya, and today I am honored. As you know, every week we bring people who have businesses, black-owned businesses, mainly within the UK. Right, what do I mean mainly? In the UK, because that's what we
Mhm.
focus on, the UK. And today I'm honored to have with me a special guest who is a author, stick with me on this one, educator, a speaker, a mum, a business owner. Well, it's mind-boggling, right? Patrice Augustus-Brown. So welcome to the show, Patrice.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And no, thank you for joining us because
Yeah.
I just brought up about a few of the things that you do, and it sounds like you might be a very busy person. But before we get into today's show, would you just quickly just share a little bit about who you are and your background, please?
Okay, so I am Patrice Augustus-Brown. I'm mother, as he said, mother, author, educator. I've been in education for 12 years as a class teacher initially, and then I turned assistant Senko. I was inclusion manager also. I've had a number of jobs, born and bred in South London to Nigerian and Jamaican parents. So mixed. I'm loving both of my nationalities. Love it.
So you should. So you should.
Yeah. And I initially started out with journalism. I studied journalism, so I knew I wanted to be a writer, something to do with the media. And I worked on a number of magazines in the past. I've done a number of jobs from teen till now, been working. And I kind of knew there was a stage in my career when I was working in central London as a subscription manager from various magazines. And I realized that I really wanted to make an impact on the world and I wanted to start somewhere. And I remember seeing an advert on the TV saying, "Would you like to be a teacher?" It's one of the adverts that they still have now. I
Fair enough.
applied. I applied to go back to uni after doing journalism and said, you know what? I need to make an impact. I need to make a difference. There's got to be more to life than kind of selling magazine subscriptions. And yeah, landed a wonderful job in education and never turned back. Love it. Yeah, love what I do.
Okay, awesome. Could feel the passion. So you just mentioned there about being a teacher. I think you said. What?
Yeah.
Just out of interest, what class or what age group were you teaching?
So I teach primary school. I'm in a junior school. So from my teaching, yeah, so primary school. So the age between the ages of 3 to 11.
Sorry.
5 to 11, sorry, 5 to 11 is the education, but we're a junior school, so it's 7 to 11. So I've taught year 3 up to year 6.
Wow.
I did my training in infant school, so the little tiny ones. But yeah, like, I do love the juniors. I do love, the older, slightly older lot. So yeah.
Got that. As you can hear, like you felt the what's the word? The anxiety. I've got 3 boys, right? So I'm just happy to drop them off to school. I always say to teachers, it takes a special type of person to be a teacher. You gotta love kids all the time,
Yeah.
or at least pretend to. So all is well. So you also mentioned there that sorry, and just correct me here, that you went to university, you studied journalism, then afterwards you decided to go back to study or to become a teacher. Yeah, I mean,
I did.
what was that like for you? Because for some people, they get to that point where they find it hard to make that commitment again, but it sounds like you're very committed and focused. What was that journey like?
Yeah. Do you know what? I've always been someone who loves studying. I don't know what it is. My mum said it to me, you always love to read your book. You'd be up in your room doing your homework. Be up. So that's something that I really enjoy. Enjoy the challenge of of studying. So
Okay.
yeah, it was fine going back. I really enjoyed it actually because it was a PGCE because I was a postgraduate. So it was only it wasn't long in in uni, and then I did actually go back again. Which is where I got my assistant, where I got my Senko award. So my special needs coordinator award. I actually went to uni again after that. So yeah, I just love studying.
Well, good on you. I was going to say, persistence is the key to success. And also, I mean,
Absolutely.
finding something that you're passionate about is great. So,
Hmm.
you know, that just shows your commitment. It's a shame that I can't get you to do my studying, but hey, that's it. So, you are the writer of this beautiful book here, Gaia,
Oh
right?
yeah,
So,
you've got one. Nice. Yes.
yeah,
Sky
you
up.
can see it better on her background there. It's a lovely book. Tell me a little bit about it. How did this book come about? What inspired you to write it?
So when so I've got three lovely children. So what I didn't mention right at the beginning. I when I had my second, so I've got two boys first, and then a girl last.
Right, okay.
And my eldest is 16, just turned 16. My second son is 10, going to be 11 on Thursday, and my daughter's
Congratulations.
18 months. Thank you. So when I had my second son, I remember looking for books for boys in particular,
Mm,
and for some reason I really also looked for books for in a barber shop because my husband owns a barber shop. So I struggled. I found one book that was based in America with based in a barber shop. So the reasoning behind this was the fact that I wanted a book that inspires young boys, something to
okay,
encourage them and to kind of reduce those negative stereotypes in
of
that
course,
we some have for in our black boys.
of
And I
course.
struggled to find boys' books. There were loads of books from girls for girls, loads of books on their hair and lovely, encouraging, inspiring books for girls. But I struggled with boys.
Mm,
So I thought to myself, initially it wasn't going to be about my son because the book is actually based on my son Josiah, who is quite a
right, okay.
confident character. He's quite a confident one, that one, a young king. Um,
Amen.
so so I kind of said, think about where boys gather, husband's barbershop. Yeah, let me write something there. I also thought about the different people that enter the shop. Lots of different people that go to a barbershop, lots of people that you meet there, and um, as I said, it's an empowering and inspiring book. So it's all about Josiah doing a project, thinking, what does he want to be when he grows up? He meets quite a number of people in the book that really impart excellent, encouraging knowledge to him. And in the end, he makes that decision for himself. It's just the beginning of many books. But yeah, inspired by my son, the type of person he is, definitely. Yeah, so we have Sky Up.
I mean, that's great. I mean, and I'm glad that
The
that,
phrase, I didn't say, sorry, I didn't add a sorry, I didn't add the phrase itself, Sky Up, also came from a term that my father in law uses quite a lot.
right,
He's always
okay,
said Sky Up, Sky Up. Yeah.
okay.
And that's, a term that means sky's the limit. So that's where the name itself came.
Well, that's lovely because I mean, like I said, I've got a copy of the book. I've had similar challenges. So as you know, I've got three boys. I've had similar challenges over the years to actually find anything
Mm,
that represents them. I even went for a phase whereby I would actually only buy stories that were about animals. So rather
mm,
than it being, people who didn't reflect their background, I would just go for animals, which I
mm,
felt were neutral.
mm,
So to see books like
mm.
this coming out has always been a great thing. I read it with my boys; they loved it, and that's our new term as well, Sky Up. And they had one of their favorite characters happens to be, hey, Daddy, Daddy, you're in the book, so thank you. And they're like, yeah, yeah, okay. Like, oh, Daddy, you're in the book. So they really enjoyed it. And also, obviously, reading books like this with children, our own children, it's great because, and I'm sure you recognize this as well as an author and an educator, it engages them because they see
Mm.
themselves and they can relate to it,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. It's great. Representation is key. It's important in today's. It's always been important, but I think
Of
now,
course.
obviously, with everything that's gone on, we're kind of capitalizing on the importance of it and the how important it is for our children. Because I don't remember as a child seeing books with black characters in it. I think even in where I work, there aren't that many. I don't know if there are books, with black characters in it. So I think it's just something that our children must see and need to see. They
Indeed.
are important. We need to value them. You matter. That's all of that.
Mm,
Yeah, it's vital
mm,
to me.
mm. I mean, you raise a good point there. I might be a little bit older than you, and there might be some listeners out there who remember what I was about to say. Well, I was just thinking back when you mentioned about when we were growing up, were there any books? I couldn't think of anything. However,
No,
oddly enough, what came to mind was the gollywog. How many of you remember the gollywog out there? You used to have to
imagine.
collect
Yeah,
you used to collect tokens on the marmalade to go and get a gollywog.
can you
It's like,
imagine? Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the world that we used to live in. Okay, but
yeah.
great. So what I heard is you were inspired, you had a vision, but lots of people are inspired and have visions, but they don't take the next
Mm,
steps.
mm.
What for you were the first steps that you took to start bringing that vision into reality?
Like, well, I think because of my background in journalism and writing, I think definitely lockdown was the start. It kind of made me think, oh, I've got a little bit of that time. Yes, I'm working from home. Yes, I've got the children with me. But I think I got to this stage. If I'm honest, actually, if I go back a bit to maternity
Mm,
leave, when I was on maternity, I started to think, I'm a person that's always striving for more. I think I always want more, or I always want to give more. So in maternity leave, I know I've got other visions and plans that I have. Um, and I was thinking, oh, I really want to bring some of my dreams and visions to life. I really have enjoyed that time with my daughter. I've had that time to kind of reflect on a lot of
mm,
things that I want to do.
mm,
Um, I don't intend, and I know my head teacher might be watching, I don't intend to work for anyone forever. um she's an inspirational lady. I mean, I love her. I mean, I've been with her the whole 12 years. I've been to no other school but this one. But I feel that I've got more to give to my community. So I think in that time during lockdown, I think I had that. First I had maternity, then I had lockdown. I was like, yeah, I have to make something of these, the time that I've had. And that is definitely how it all started and where it all started. It started with me saying, "Do you know what?" Me and a friend sat down. I told her what my idea was. I told her what I wanted to do. She sat there because she does a lot of business coaching. And she was like,
okay.
"Do you know what? We're going to set some targets. You are going to write down the months and you are going to write down what you're going to do each month. When's your end goal? Start with the end goal. When do you want this book?" I was like, "Oh, August, my birthday." So we kind of worked, we started looking at forwards. We looked at, August, and then we went back and looked at, mapped out really small steps to achieving the
Sure.
final outcome.
Mm,
I was a bit, there was times when we were a bit behind time with regards to the process of the book. And I'm
sure.
talking about things like the illustrations took a lot longer than I thought. But that's because I'm a perfectionist, and my illustrator, she's a wonderful Fiona. She's an absolutely wonderful illustrator, and she's a perfectionist also. So she was like, "Yeah,
Are
what do
you
you think
guys
about that?"
you guys
Sorry.
Virgos by any chance?
I'm a Virgo.
Oh my days. There you go. It's the Virgo thing again. Oh well. I'm a Virgo by the way. That's why.
Oh,
I know
right,
the
right.
well, yeah, it's just not good enough. No, just
No,
do it a
it's
little
true.
bit.
It's so true. Yeah, my mum's always complaining, "You're just too much of a perfectionist. You want things perfect all the time." I'm like, "But mum, this is my first book. It has to be the way I want it." So that
Yeah,
bit took long, and the formatting, that bit took long. But I'm glad that I had the time and I had the goal at the end and the vision and the plan, and I just stuck to it. I think I'm like that. I do kind of work to times. I'm quite good with structure, especially, at home and in the business. Actually, I can't even say at home, I'll be honest. Sometimes the structure at home is not as I would
I,
like it.
I think all of us parents can admit and accept that. When it just
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
it just all goes out the window and you're just like,
It,
whatever, right?
exactly.
Just
It is what it
whatever.
is.
It is what
Exactly.
it is. It's all part of parenting. We just had a comment from one of our listeners. Thank you, Olivia. So she says, a fantastic book for our young people. It's so important our images are reflected as they are in SkyUp. And I have to say, I
Yeah.
totally agree. I think books like this
Thank
are
you.
very, very powerful because, as I see in your t-shirt, inspiring young minds. And indeed, I can give the evidence of it and say it's inspired my boys. And they
Mm.
started joking and running around it. So you gave us the process
Uh,
right now of how you got the vision, where you got the inspiration from, and how you executed that.
hmm
Did you face any obstacles along the way to bring your vision into reality? And if so, how did you go about overcoming them?
Yeah, I think the biggest obstacle was the time. I think I just underestimated it being the first book. My first book, I have underestimated how long the illustrations will take. I mean, we did have an idea. We did stick to an idea, and I'm a first time author. This is the first book that she'd done as well.
Wow,
So we were both
awesome.
new to this.
Wow, well done.
And I purposely, I must say, I did want a black illustrator and somebody who was not necessarily a female, but somebody who could possibly attend the launch. So somebody that was quite local. She's in
So
Bristol.
I'm just going to jump in and ask that question there.
Yeah.
Why was it important to you to have a black illustrator?
Okay, so initially that's not what went through my mind. I just wanted an illustrator that wanted to portray exactly the character. I had a picture in my head exactly how I wanted Josiah to look. I wanted it to be realistic, but also that cartoon effect. I wanted it to be kind of not flat, not like a just like, you know, really flat images. I wanted them to kind of be almost alive, bring the book alive. But the importance of it being black, why? I think it's because, especially at this time, I think I wanted to be able to say that it was an all black. I mean, everything about the book was black. Myself being black and the illustrator being black. It's just something that I thought would work well, and I think it's important that we bring out, you know, the best in our people. So that's kind of where I went with that. It could have been, like I say, there were other illustrators, but it just so happens that this illustrator had exactly what I wanted, and I found her on Instagram and she just had exactly what I wanted, so it just worked well. But yeah, it was important to me because I'm all about, at the moment, you know, not at the moment, but I'm all about representation. It's important that I mean, I'm going to talk a bit more about I'm passionate about unity and black people working together. That's one of the things that's important to me. So that's what I wanted to show in my book.
Good.
Sorry, the other obstacle, sorry, and I didn't say, the obstacle was that time it took. And then the other obstacle, again, it was now waiting on the printers who didn't deliver in the time frame that I wanted to initially. But I mean, it's only a day away, but it's because I knew that the launch was on a certain day on the Sunday, and I needed my book by the Friday, and then the Thursday, sorry, and then it was the Friday. Then I started to get worried, thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to have a launch of my book. So yeah, that was the challenge. That was stressful, but I mean, it was done. I did say to them, you know, I would like my book by tomorrow, so I look forward to your phone call to tell me when I can come and collect my book. You guys do not open on Saturday, so therefore I need my book on Friday. It was a bit of that.
Of course, and I'm assuming you got your book on Friday.
I got my book on Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great stuff. And I guess that's one of the things about starting a business as well, right? And moving towards our dreams. We have challenges. Even at the last hour, it feels like, oh, it's not going to happen.
Yes.
But that's just the way it always seems to go. It just seems to be pretty standard around how that works. Also, I mean, in the book, one of the other great things, I forgot to mention it before, is you got some lovely affirmations. The light and you can't see it. You got 10 different affirmations. I read out some of them for the listeners. I'm loved, I'm unique, I'm great, I'm confident, I'm powerful, I'm brave, I'm created, I'm resilient, I learn from my mistakes, I can do all things. And this falls along with the book, so the children get to read the book, then they get to read these out and start programming their minds and have some positive impact in their life. It's funny, after I read it with my boys, they start walking around with their chest out. Yeah, I'm confident. I'm sky up, sky this.
That's what I want. And that's so good to hear.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah,
So
that is it.
So as a parent, I know how hard it sometimes can be raising children. At the beginning, you mentioned that, like I said, you're author, speaker, educator, a mom, business owner. How do you juggle running a business with raising a family? You've got a young family as well, and working. How do you do that?
I don't know. It's by God's grace.
Amen.
It's by God's grace. First and foremost, it's by God's grace. And then what I can say is I am a bit of I do like structure. So there is structure. It is a matter of kind of mapping out your ideas, my dreams, my visions, my plans, and kind of having it structured and timetabled in. So I do work with a little bit of timetables, and you know, this is what we do on this day, because my boys are one of them plays for a football club, so it is you know, a lot of work on myself and my husband. He does a lot of the, you know, running up and down as well as running his own business. So it's a lot. And I can't say that I've mastered it, because I can't even say, I literally say this all the time, it's literally a juggling act. So it's like sometimes something's got to give. There's times when I'm so tired and I'm like, no, actually, oh, we've got this event going on. This is pre-COVID. This event going on, or that event going on. And I just sometimes have to say no to certain things. So it's a matter of really prioritizing things. It's a matter of doing a little bit of giving and taking. It's a matter of communicating with each other effectively. And yeah, a bit of timetable and a bit of planning. I think that's it. It's yeah, it is a real juggling act. It is hard work, but I think with communication, you can kind of accomplish all things, as well as, you know, my faith, me being a Christian, because otherwise I don't know how else I'd cope.
We can
Sometimes I
do Christ
scream.
who strengthens us, eh?
Exactly.
Yes. Sometimes I scream at them. Sometimes I just scream.
I'll go in my car and I scream, and I feel better after.
Are you doing your car? Maybe that's
yeah.
how I'm going.
Yeah. The car is the way.
Okay, got it. They just drive
car
past
is the way
put loud
forward.
music on. And just driving past me. Like, what? What's wrong with him? He's like, yeah. Okay, great stuff. So, one thing you did mention before, which I just wanted to touch on as well, and I think that will lead us neatly into just some of the other things that we can quickly discuss before we start wrapping up, was, so you mentioned about when you were looking for an illustrator, how it was important for you also that the whole book was created by Black people, and unity and supporting that. I mean, like I said before, I think that's a very great philosophy to have. I mean, that's what CirQulate as a brand represents, which is why don't we keep all that money within our communities? We should be spending more of our money with each other to build each other, so that we can build our communities. So my question to you is, as a Black woman, as a business owner, somebody who's in the education system, what things do you see out there that give you any concerns for our community?
Well, I think you've just touched on one of my concerns. I've got two. I think there's two things that affects me or bothers me, or, you know, one of them is what you just said about us not working together, and us not kind of spending money with each other, and us not collaborating, community cohesion. All of that is one thing that really affects me. I saw something, actually. I was going to read a post. It says, next time you feel discouraged, and I saw this week, next time you feel discouraged about your business idea because there's so many people around you doing the same thing, go to the grocery store and look down the bread aisle. Same idea, 15 plus different companies selling the same thing. We all can eat. Don't doubt your ability, nor let nobody else make you feel you can't.
I think I saw that one as well.
I saw that one.
The grocery with all the bread, right?
The bread, yeah.
Yes.
So that bread analogy, it just kind of reinforced everything that I think. I mean, I don't understand why we can't work together, and, you know, we do a lot of working kind of against each other. I think even in the author world, sometimes you may look and think, oh, who's this? In my head, this is what I think. This could be me in my head, but I'm thinking, no, there's a new author here. Oh, okay, she's doing quite well. Oh, okay, is this what she's doing? And you may be reluctant to share information, because I have had that experience where I've asked, oh, can you just direct me where this, and it's been quite offish. Whereas I'm the opposite. I don't understand it, because I'm the opposite. If you come and ask me, I've had someone ask me, how do I go about a book? You know, how do I start my book? And I've given them so much information. I've even shared some of my links with them. I don't see why we can't all work together and support one another. It bothers me big time. So that would be one of my big issues.
And we'll go on to your second one in a minute, as there in a moment. Totally agree with you, and that's why one of the slogans I use a lot, especially with my business partners, is it's not about competition, it's about co-opetition. How
exactly.
do we work together to get
exactly. I have two friends who do the same thing. They both do they do cakes. They make cakes and they do events. And they knew each other years ago when they were younger, but never reconnected again. And I think through me, they kind of reconnected. So I might
Yeah.
get my cakes from one, and I might get cupcakes from the other, or
Yeah.
sometimes I might, I might have a cup event where actually they collaborate. So with my
Good.
launch, it's just so lovely to see that the two of them, they're always collaborating. They now share ideas. They work on events together sometimes. They ask each other for advice. They did a fantastic job. Sorry about that. They did a
Don't worry about
fantastic.
it, man. Don't worry
Yeah,
about it.
fine. They did a fantastic job on my launch working together. I mean, one of them don't feel away when I say, okay, I'm going to order my cake from her and I'm going to have my cupcakes, or that they don't feel any way. So that is just, I mean, I love them to bits. They're good friends of mine. And I just think to myself, wow, this is what we need more of,
Of course. Of course.
collaborating, working together. That's so she's doing the same thing as you. Why can't you share resources, share ideas? Other people do it. Why are we struggling as Black people to do that? So that's one of my biggest, issues.
Yeah. And you might have heard me say a number of times, and I will keep on saying it on any show. The studies or the numbers show at the moment that the Black UK community, we spend over 30 billion annually. The figures also show that money stays in the Indian community like 30 days, something like that. In the Jewish community, 21 days. In the white community, 17 days. But less than a day in the Black community.
That's just shocking. That is,
It's shocking. And then
but
obviously,
it's not surprising. It's sad. It's maybe I don't know if I can even say it. Like, it doesn't surprise me because of the things that I experience and see on a day-to-day basis. So it doesn't surprise me. So all this competition. Oh yeah, look at what they're doing. You don't need to compete. You need to work together. That's why I like the Black Pound Day. I remember initially people were saying, oh, what's that going to achieve? Oh, people are still going to go and buy elsewhere here and there. Yeah. So what's the point? One day. Actually, that's a start. In my head, you've got to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. And for me, my start, which has been years now, I don't cook on a Friday. My husband knows very well I don't cook on a Friday. So there's certain days, there's a Friday and sometimes even a Saturday, I may not cook. But what I do, I'd say 95% or even more than that, 98% of the time, I'm going to my local Caribbean or my Nigerian food shop up the road. That's where I spend my money. Very rare you'll see me in other restaurants. It would be, oh, let me try out this. And I'm not really one for trying out. It would have to be word of mouth. They've had it and they know that it's nice. But I stick to my own in terms of that because I think it's important.
Yeah, I mean, until we start working in that way, until we get this together, I guess we're going to be experiencing it. We just had a few comments coming in, so let me just quickly read them out. As Olivia said, agree wholeheartedly. Black people need to work together if we wish to progress. The Asian share, which is why they own all the businesses. Thank you for that, Olivia. And then, honestly, Trina says this is learned behavior. I was working in a collaborative way to support and build my own community. And true, and the reality is, I mean, we say that, and I know we're using kind of generalistic language, but there are many instances of many, like you gave an example, great example there, of many Black people, many Black businesses who do work together, work in collaboration.
Yes, definitely. And I know some of those, it's not all negative at all. There are a lot of those around, and I have good friends and people around me who are doing exactly that. So, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that was your first concern. Your second one was?
It's the youth violence, it's just the youth violence and what's going on with our young people. I think that's one of my main concerns, especially bringing up Black boys.
Of course.
It's a big worry to me. I think I can't say what the root is to these issues. People may generalize and say they might want to blame parents, but I can say that actually it isn't the parents all the time. There may be some situations where it's the parents because maybe they're not there, maybe parents are not present, maybe children are some of them are bringing up themselves on their own, like society's bringing them up, so to speak, because maybe parents are not at home because they're working, because they're trying to make money to feed their children. So there's a number of issues in that area. And I mean, I think as an educator, with my educator hat on, I believe that, I think connecting with our children, spending quality time with our children, I am guilty. I'm working on my vision and working on some of the stuff that I am doing. And sometimes I can put my hands up and say, sometimes I feel like I neglect my children because I'm working on what I'm doing. In my head, I know what the long-term goal is and what the long-term vision is as to why I'm doing this. But I do think it's important that we're teaching children emotional intelligence, teaching them about their history, something, again, I don't do as much as I really should. I think we live in this society, in a world where everything's rushed, we've got to rush here, we've got to rush there, I find myself constantly rushing, and I'm rushing to work, coming back, coming home to cook, and in that time, I've not sat down to listen to my daughter read, my son read. I've not sat down and read a story to my daughter. Those, important bedtime stories, all of that. I think as a nation, it's so important that we are making that time to hear our children out, to speak with our children, talk about their day, talk about their challenges, talk about what they've experienced on the way home from school. Allow them to talk and not shush them because we're on the phone or we're on our phones, or do you see what I mean? So yeah, there's a lot of work to do, but
you're right. I mean, as a parent, once again, I mean, you've hit on some key things there as well. I mean, I think, and thank you for your candid honesty. And I think most listeners out there have got young children. If they're be honest, I think they'll find themselves in similar boats. I mean, the amount of times whereby, I'm like, I'm not going to let these boys play with PlayStation. I'm not going to let them play with their tablets.
yeah,
But when I'm busy doing my work, it's like,
it's easier.
I'm busy. And I have to say the amount of times that my boys are like, Daddy, you're always on the laptop. Daddy, you're always working. Daddy, come and play with us. So I totally recognize that. Looking at the social issue in terms of the young youth, for me, I guess the frustration has been that it's been, from when we were young, from when we were involved in stuff, it's just getting worse. And for me, I see it personally as being multifaceted. I see it as very complex, adaptive system. And for me, I believe that finances and a lack of a strong Black economy has a big impact. Why? Because, like you said, parents are out working, so therefore they're not there for their children necessarily. We are, from some of the engagements I have with lots of young people who are making money doing illegal stuff. It's like, well, what else am I going to do? The school system don't want me. The Black community,
I can't get a job. Right.
As a Black community, we haven't provided our own with the ability to get jobs because we haven't built our businesses and built our economy. Like we said before, our money goes outside of the community, so we can't even give our own jobs. So, and I think there's just so many
there's
different
a plethora
aspects.
of things. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Definitely.
So shared a lot. I'm sure you've inspired quite a few people out there who are either trying to build a business or are thinking about it, and might feel that, obviously they've got young families and everything, but I'm sure you've demonstrated how it can be done. What's one thing, to wrap it up, what one thing would you say you've learned along your journey that you'd like to share with people out there who are watching?
Along my journey, one thing I've learned, and that procrastination is not going to get you anywhere. Sitting on things, sitting on ideas and things, it's just not gonna happen. I mean, I have lots of family members who we have wonderful ideas, and friends, but I think sitting on ideas and visions and plans, it's just not going to happen. So I think it's so important that we make small steps towards our goals, our dreams, and the things that we want to achieve. It's so, I cannot explain, because I think it's so good. I speak to my mum about certain things. My mum will be telling me, oh yeah, that she wants to do this and this. And I say, Mum, you told me that last week. You told me that 2 weeks ago. We have to act on the things that we want to do. I think it's so vital that we just act on it and start small. It doesn't have to be anything big. A small step towards your goal, one small tiny step. even if you sit and do a bit of planning, you know, like I explained earlier on. I know that not everybody may not have the capacity to be able to achieve it, or maybe feel that they can't, or there's something stopping them. But there's so many people out there within our community and out there who can support you and help you in so many different ways. So I just think, yeah, we just need to really go for whatever it is that we want to achieve, and make some steps towards it. So
Awesome.
yeah.
I think that's a very powerful piece of advice. I really appreciate that. So, how will people, or how do people get in contact with you? Where can people go to find your book, etc., etc.?
I have so my website ultimately, www.patricetheauthor.com. So that's my website. Not going to say the big massive place that sells books where you can order it from, because I'm trying to share within our community. Other places that you can get it from are from No Ordinary Bookshops, which is on Instagram. These are independent people that sell my books. So
Okay,
independent bookshops.
sure.
Rainbow Butterflies, they've got that there. Pansy health shop in Brixton. I think they've got a few in different branches, but Pansy stock my book
Awesome.
also. Ruby's Reads, another bookshop online. She's on Instagram currently. She stocks my book, and I don't want to miss anybody out. I think that's the main, yeah, that's the main places. So initially, Patrice the author, www.patricetheauthor.com. That's where you can get it.
Awesome. I really thank you for doing that, because obviously you could have mentioned the big, the big,
Yeah.
yeah, which obviously from a business point of view, but what that's just showed me that you're actually somebody of integrity. You're actually living what you're talking about here, right? You're actually doing it, and I really respect it and appreciate that. So well done unto you. So my last question is this: what's next from the author Patrice Augustus-Brown?
Okay. I have big plans and dreams for this book. But it's one step at a time. So I think next, around the Christmas time, you may see something very interesting
Okay.
in the form of a journal or something like that for children.
Okay, that's
More
good.
books, more books, definitely more books in the pipeline. I've actually already written the second one, if I'm
Oh
honest.
wow. Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, more
All
books,
right.
definitely. Even some merchandise also. A child at my school said, Mrs. Brown, are you gonna have pencils? And are you gonna have, and I said, yeah, possibly. So yeah, possibly merchandise in the pipeline.
Okay, awesome. Great stuff.
Yeah.
And why not? Okay, so we just got a few more comments. Um, so we got Jill Martin. Hey Jill. The way I see it, if one person in a community wins or does well, we all do. Sticking together like other communities do is what we need more now than ever. I love that saying from Genghis
Mhm.
Khan. He may not be like really black, but he's got a bit of color in him. So we go with what Genghis Khan said, which is one arrow alone can easily be broken, but many arrows are indestructible. And I guess until we start
Mm.
operating and combining. For me, I have this simple, and with the clients that I work with, the teams that I work with, is we win or we fail together. You know, a few of us getting that doesn't cut it, because at the end of the day, our
Mm.
children, our children's children are still
No,
in these situations, and to me, that's not a success, right? If a few of us get out, it's not a success. But that's just my personal views around that.
no.
Hey, Harry from over in the States, thank you for joining us. What's that? How many zeros have you got going there? That's like 100,000% about procrastination. And then there's a question. There's a question from Harry as well about any animation. So I guess that's a question for you. Are you planning?
Animations, absolutely. It does take a lot of money for animations though, but that's definitely one of my dreams. Absolutely.
Well, like
So
you
if you
said
know
before,
anybody out there that can help out, let me know.
well, you've already got a fan here. Harry says, awesome. So to anybody who's listening out there, so once again, as you know, the purpose of this show is to promote people who are doing positive things in the community, and to also share some of their business journeys to encourage more of us to become business owners. That doesn't mean anything
Mm,
about not having a job, but to build up our own economy, so that we can actually
mm.
create better conditions for ourselves and for our children. So if anybody out there is listening, as you've
Amazing,
heard,
yeah.
that we have a young lady here doing amazing things, touching and inspiring young people's lives, has a vision to be able to do animation between us as a community. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying there's
Yeah,
nothing,
yeah,
nothing else. Okay, we're gonna start pushing these things forward. Awesome.
yeah.
So, Patrice, once again, I will say thank you very much for your lovely book. If you are watching right now and you haven't got a copy, go out and get yourself a copy of this book. You will see some swagger in your children when they read this. It's something that's happened. So now I've done a clean out of all of my books, and now I'm just stocking up on loads more black books because luckily now there seems to be a lot more available, and the swagger that I'm seeing in my boys is just second to none, right? Just when they read these books. Before I used to
Mm,
struggle to get my eldest to read, but now that he's got the black books, it's just like he just goes and just starts reading. So, and
excited,
this was something,
yeah.
remember what I said to you before as well. One of the things I also learned through lockdown and spending time with my kids is that as a teacher, as somebody who can educate their children, no, not me.
Not
I'm
you.
just, no,
It's
not
not,
me.
I told you, it's not me either. It's not me either. Like I said before, the tutor left my house not too long ago. So, as much as I'm an educator, educating my own children, that is a task in itself. I did
Yeah,
forget to add, actually, I do
sure.
do story times, and I haven't done it for a while, but I will be going back to story times. I do my story times on a Friday at 7 o'clock on my Instagram at Patrice
Oh,
the
awesome.
author. So I will be getting back onto my story times.
Awesome.
But
Please
yeah,
do.
but yeah,
All of these things are very valuable. Hopefully we'll start seeing some animation, seeing, a lot more great things coming out from you. And one last thing, just for all the listeners out there, I'd ask, if you can go, the video will be available on Facebook. So if you go underneath there and then just putting all the links to the various outlets where people can
okay,
get
yeah,
the books from, that would
yeah,
be awesome. So once
great.
again, Patrice, great to see you. Really appreciate you taking the time out. Keep
Thank
up the good
you.
work, inspiring young minds and inspiring adults to be the best that they can be. Really
Yeah, thank
appreciate it.
you. Great.
And awesome. And to all you listeners out there, thank you very much for tuning in. And we'll be back next week with another guest. Until then, remember to circulate,
Mm,
support each other. That's
mm-hmm.
how we will succeed and win. Until
Absolutely.
next time, take care. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye.
Bye.